seasonal allergies. So welcome, ladies, to our training today. We are going to be diving into virtual summits. I'm excited to see so many of you here. So this was a request by several of you to cover this, and we do our best to bring in the trainings that you're looking for. Here's what I will tell you though, is we usually ask those questions of what do you want to see next on trainings? So if you're not showing up at the training, we don't necessarily always get the input. So make sure, excuse me, especially if you're not on a lot of live trainings, if you're doing recordings or you're intermittent in what trainings or workshops you're attending, please make sure to just let us know. Myself, Keelan, or Brittany, let us know, because we do our best to get to it within the next 60 days or incorporate it somewhere. So whatever areas or there's holes in your business and your knowledge, or you just would love help on it. Like the pitch training we did 2 weeks ago, which if you were on that, I'll be getting today, tomorrow, I'll be getting all of your feedback and your media contacts. But like that type of training, we got amazing feedback, and we'll be doing those more. So whatever you want, we want to provide it. All right. So today we're going to be talking all about virtual summits, right? Or online conferences. But what I'd like to do first, before we dive into the content, is I'd like to ask, first of all, what is your experience with virtual summits or with online conferences? We'll just call it virtual summits. What has been your experience? So take a moment, drop that in the chat. I'd love you to say, like, how many of you attended? What have you learned from them? Just start with those two questions. All right, so I'm seeing some of you haven't attended any. Okay, I appreciate the honesty. Some have attended, love the variety and learning different topics in a short amount of time. Attended many online events, great to connect with the community of like-minded people. Love being able to learn from multiple people, but within the same sort of segment, like the same type of topic. They can be a little overwhelming as a client and feel like it's volume of information versus quality. So that's good, because we want to know, like, what do we like, but also what do we not like? Attended some for general knowledge and motivation. I enjoy live over replay. Absolutely. I mean, live in general, you're always going to show up differently, right? With a different energy. Love learning from multiple people. Kate was part of one for a small business. It was cool having people come visit her booth. That's really cool. Okay, wonderful. So we're going to talk a little bit about, first of all, kind of the journalistic, the what, the why, the where, the when, the how. We're going to really dismantle that today. And I really want this to be an open exchange. So please feel free to ask questions as we're going. And then also by the end of today, we're going to start to construct our future summit. We're going to pick a date out and everything. And then what we'll do on next week's call is we'll really build out the particulars for that. So does anybody know, well, actually, before I ask that question, have any of you ever either purchased something that was sold on a virtual summit, or you followed a speaker and because of how you resonated with them, maybe you followed them and ended up doing business with them later? So have you ever spent money after attending a virtual summit? Yes, yes, okay. And I'll wait for a few of you. Oh, Jennifer, thank you. Okay, yes, yes, yes. All right. Next question, once you've answered that, is did you follow someone, download something, opt into something on a virtual summit? Even if you didn't immediately do business. Followed on social media, opted into their email list. All right, always followed the new speakers. Perfect. Okay, this is great because you're just answering your own questions. All right, so let's talk first about the goals, the overall goals for doing a virtual summit, the why of doing it. Typically for you as a speaker, if you're wanting to speak at a virtual summit, the goals are visibility, right? Because you are basically all sharing your audience, which brings you new eyes, right? New eyes on your business. So that visibility, it's also an amazing way to build credibility. Credibility that you are now a speaker. And the beautiful thing about Zoom is, guess what? Most of us, we're no longer bound by location. So you can be anywhere speaking to clients or potential clients anywhere, right? So it's that visibility, it's the credibility, even to your existing audience. I can remember 4 or 5 years ago when I was, a newer entrepreneur, and I would see people that I knew that like got chosen to speak. I'm like, how does that even happen? And they're so legitimate, right? It just creates that really big boost of credibility. Now, the most important thing probably is the list building. I hope, and I won't call you out now, but I'll just say everyone should be working on your list, right? We don't own social media, but we own our email list and text list. Caitlin, can you write down future training on text marketing? We'll do a future training on that because it's really become very reasonable now. But it's really about growing your list. So every person that may be seeing you may not be ready to become a client right then, but it's about growing that database, that following of people that are interested in what you do. And that's really what it's all about. So it's about creating that audience, that list, okay? Now, other goals. You could absolutely do virtual summits. You could do virtual summits to promote something. It's just that typically you're more training, it's more adding value, but there are ways to actually capture leads to you. And there's 2 different ways. One is as a group, as a speaker, and then one is sending them to a call to action where they opt into you separately. And we'll talk about both of those. But the goals for the person that holds a virtual summit is a little bit different. 100% it's on list growth, but it's typically for them to grow leads that they don't necessarily share. And I'll walk you through this. I've spoken at many virtual summits for other people, and you don't get the email list. Meaning like it doesn't grow your list except for where someone is like watching you or your segment or your training on it, and they go follow you. So that's why it's always absolutely vital that you have some type of call to action, even though it should not be a sell. Like virtual summits are never selling. But you're inviting them in, you're educating them, you're inspiring them. And so the call to action could be, listen, here's the 3 tips. Like for me, it might be like, here's the 3 ways to become more visible with press. And right now I'd love you to go and download my 4-in-1 pitch template. And I'm going to say that if you pitch me in the next week, I'm going to pick 1 winner to interview on my podcast. So that could be the call to action, right? But I'm not selling the collective or any other program because again, there's no sales at a virtual summit, typically. At least there's no sales by the speakers. So any questions so far? Because this is going to be a lot of information. So I want to make sure that please ask questions if you're like, well, what about this? Anything so far? All right. Now, everyone can do their virtual summits differently. So we're going to go over kind of the basic rules and best practices, but I have seen virtual summits where they said the more people that are trackable through you, meaning like I would get my own link to register people. And if I registered 200 people, then I would get 50 leads from them. And what that meant is, let's say that they had 500 people opt in, they would share a percentage of those leads. The summit that we're all going to do is going to be a little different. It's going to be much more attractive for all of you. But the entire point is really, again, it's the visibility, it's the credibility, it's absolutely practicing as a speaker. That's probably one of the other biggest things is this gives you the ability to practice your expert topics, to speak on them, to deliver on them. Daisy, you didn't realize virtual summits were a thing, or speak up, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I didn't realize like there was like an exchange of, I hadn't really valued the exchange of the email list. I'd kind of be really annoyed if somebody was just like, here, you can only have that. It's better that they didn't say it at all.
I can definitely share with you best and worst practices. And I'll say that one that did that little, hey, Emily's in Belize, that looks beautiful on the water. Second largest Great Barrier Reef over there. So yeah, Daisy, what you were just saying, that summit, I will say that the whole process that we went through, like, here's what they did is they said, we'd love you to speak for a virtual summit. They got the commitment. They kind of gave like what was expected, but not all of the details. And then after I was committed and like sharing it, then they added some more things. Super not okay to do, but yeah, so we're not going to do that. But for all of you, list growth should be your goal. Not that you're getting the leads from them, but that you are getting onto a platform in front of new people who can become followers. It's just the biggest thing. again, the credibility is amazing because you can use these for speaker reels because you might be getting interviewed. I mean, you could use it for a million different things, and it's something that you can continue to talk about. But anyway, let's go back. Let's go back. So the what of a virtual summit. So virtual summits can have a couple of different structures. I've seen them where they're 14 days long and they're 1 hour a day, almost like a masterclass, but with different speakers. I've seen others where they're 3 to 5 days long, and they might be 2 to 4 hours per day. And ones that I've done in the past are 1 day. It's like an immersive, right? And that's just because it's just easier to do it that way. And it's typically, I find that there's a lot of drop off from multiple day virtual summits, where if it's 1 day, people kind of pop in and out for the speakers that they're interested in. But so there's a lot of different ways to do it. Now, some people do live, some people do recorded, and some people do a combination. So virtual summits, I like live in general. I feel that everyone's energy is better live. I mean, obviously you all know that it's just a big part of my business is people show up differently, both as the presenter and also as the attendees when you are live. There's a completely different energy. I will tell you, I've recorded master classes before, at least helped me with my very first one. It was not live. And I was like, the energy was so different. My chair was low. There we go. The energy was just so different because I was having to like fake being excited. And you should never have to fake being excited. It's palpable when you're faking it. And again, the audience shows up, and you do have the ability then to have engagement. Right now, you don't want to derail what you're talking about, but when you see people dropping in the chat, to be able to call them out in a positive way, right? Like, thank you so much for that. I'm so glad that you got that light bulb moment or whatever it is, really just enriches the experience. So I always personally do them live because I just think that's the best way to do it. The second way to do it is where it's completely recorded. And then it is ran like streamed as live through a Facebook group. Okay. A lot of people do that. Personally, the reason that I don't recommend that doesn't mean you can't stream live to the Facebook group while you're doing it live on Zoom. Is it just not a lot of people don't participate, right? They might opt in, they might join the Facebook group, but your actual show up rate is going to be significantly less. Like what we've seen from those types of show up rates might be like 5 to 10% show up, maybe 15, versus if somebody opts in and it's a live on Zoom, it's usually like 20 to 25%. It's quite a bit higher. So again, anything that's going to optimize the show up rate is important. And then the last version that I've been seeing more and more recently is they pre-record, they stream it as if live, again, still feels very different. And then you come on right after that for an actual live Q&A. So those are just 3 different forms of how you can be a speaker, like the kind of the medium of speaking. All right, so that's a little bit about the what. The why, like we talked about, the credibility, the visibility, the profitability, the list growth, the feeling more confident. The other great thing about it is it's low risk. Like you're not going to lose anything from doing a virtual summit. You only have something to gain. So if you just are like, you know what, I'm really uncomfortable speaking, but I'm just going to do this. Like, I mean, ideally you do a great job because then that will lead to more opportunities. Another why is once you've done 1 or 2, I don't know how people find these, but I get so many emails. Well, I get a few emails every time I do a virtual summit from other people that are doing virtual summits that say, hey, I saw that you did Christina so-and-so's summit and I loved your piece on whatever. I'm now hosting a virtual summit. I'd love you to speak for it. So it really helps. Many of the bigger ones do have email list requirements. So that's just something to think about. And again, it's reason 3,477 on building an email list is some of the summits do require you to have a certain size email list. And that way, as you're promoting it to your email list, not just social media following, but email list, they have an idea of how many people will opt in from it. But let me just tell you a little story before we keep diving in. And then I'll open up for some questions. I remember this was right before I met Elise. So this was the beginning of 2020. And I had someone that reached out. I had a pretty sizable social media following, but I really wasn't doing a great job on monetizing that to my business. So I had someone that reached out and said, hey, like we love kind of like what you're about. We have a virtual summit coming up and we'd love to see if you want to speak at it. So I jumped on the phone with them and basically they had this really genius model and it's actually entirely paid ads and summits were exactly like everything of how they promoted their business. And it was an 8-figure coaching business. Actually, at times a multiple 8-figure coaching business. I think she was doing about 20 million a year in coaching sales and had a whole team of coaches. But she built most of their list through virtual summits. But what she would do is she would bring on speakers who had an email list of at least 10,000. So the problem was at the time, my list was not that large. So I was like, well, this is what I could talk about. And they're like, that's great. How big's your list? And I was like, oh, I think it was like 2,700. And they're like, well, come back to us when you have 10,000 people on your email list. Again, this was a big opportunity. But here's what they promised. On average, they had 25,000 people opt in for the summits. 25,000. Now, how many of those watched it? I don't know, but probably a couple of thousand. And so there was a significant amount of business to be gained from that. Now I want you to like think about something like that as your maybe further out goal, right? You don't need to start there. But if you don't have that large list, starting out with doing one summit and being able to show that credibility, being able to show that you've already done one is really huge, right? One opportunity opens up the other. And you'll feel a little bit more confident just understanding like what it's all about and understanding kind of the why behind it, why it's beneficial for you, and also where you bring value in so that you feel more confident in pitching yourself. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? I know this is a lot of information. Okay, because don't worry, we're going to get to the workshop. The where, most of them, I mean, did my screen just get super yellow, or is that my imagination? Feels like it's going yellow to white. I don't understand why that's happening, but here, maybe it's the sun. Okay, I looked like I was through a yellow. Oh, have you ever been paid to speak at a virtual summit? Okay, this is it. Okay, we'll do some questions right now, and you can type it in the chat or you can unmute yourself. The ones that charge a fee for attendees to attend. So Stephanie, do you want to unmute yourself just for a moment?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So was this like, what type of virtual summit was it where they were charging attendees?
It might have been like a health focused one. Just like a workshop, I guess more of a workshop than I guess that's separate.
But they had multiple speakers?
Yeah, with speakers, and it was more educational. So I was just curious, like, do people typically get paid for that if they're, yeah.
This is such a great question. And this is really something in speaking in general. Here's what I typically say. Unless you are yes, Alejandra, we are in talk. That is right next to my list. So thank you. Unless you are a huge speaker. Now I'm talking, okay. So Ali Webb, if anyone has heard of Ali Webb, she's the owner of Dry Bar, right? She still owns Dry Bar, or at least she's one of the majority owners of it, but she sold the product line, the Dry Bar product line, for $250 million. I mean, she's a very successful entrepreneur. She's got like 4 companies now. So she spoke a couple of weeks ago at a mastermind retreat I was at. Now, it was because they were friends. I think she spoke for free, but her speaking fee is $60K. Her speaking fee, if you hire, let's say you're doing I don't even know what, like an alt summit, which I don't even know if it's still happening. That was a big conference that was not online. It was virtual. It was in person. Or like a create and cultivate, or you're doing some type of conference where you're charging the attendees. That is typically when they're paying speakers because they're charging. I personally think though, if it's something like I don't charge, I would say most of the time you shouldn't charge for virtual summits. There's a couple of, okay, let's go back. Let's talk about being paid as a speaker, and then we'll talk about charging for events. So unless you have a huge name like that, when you're looking at whether or not you should be paid as a speaker, typically the things that I've gotten paid for are not things that I am going to be able to monetize. And what I mean by that is I've done keynotes for sales teams, for accounting firms. Jennifer, you probably know Moss Adams. You probably have heard their name before. So like Moss Adams is a huge accounting firm, and I was a keynote speaker for their like all employee meeting. It was like a motivational speak, right? Or talk. And those may pay you physically, but you're going to get like no business from them. And they're usually the less fun. I mean, if you want it for your speaking, real great. But so usually you do not get paid for speaking, even when you are a professional speaker, if you can monetize it. If given the choice, I would much prefer to speak for free with the ability to do some type of call to action or lead magnet or something that allows me to continue to nurture that audience if they resonate with me, versus getting a few $1,000s to speak for an hour, but they're never good. Like there's not even a way for them to interact with me after. Because usually paid speaking, they will not let you do any type of call to action, like, or opt in. There's so many different ways to do opt-ins, and we'll talk about that as well. Okay. So I highly encourage all of you to do as much free speaking as possible, unless you have costs involved. And even then I still typically eat the cost, because you know it will make up for it with business done after. All right. So as far as charging for actual events, the one that we're going to build out mostly next week, we will not be charging for. That will be free. But I like to think about it this way. What is your goal? Like, is the goal at the end of the event that, again, if you have someone opt in, that you're going to monetize that? Or is your goal to try to make money off the event itself? It really depends. The only time that we've had a paid event is we did the, oh my goodness, what was it called? It was a goal intensive back in November or December, and we charged $111. It was, and that included, that was 2 days. I think we had a bonus day too. So I think that was 3 days total. Really deep dive. So it was I think 7 hours total. And then it included a 30-minute call with Kaylin. No, I don't think we charged for the 6 hours to six figures, Kaylin. Or was that what it was? Was it 6 hours to six figures? I thought it was a goal intensive. Okay, so we had one, but it also included some one-on-one, right? They had a 30-minute call with Kaylin. And we did, that was just something we were testing. It was actually really interesting, but that was not considered a virtual summit. The nice thing about that is it did pay for itself. Like the admission paid for the ads we spent on it. But typically you shouldn't charge for a virtual summit. Kaylin, if you want to add anything here, for those of you who don't know, Kaylin worked at a multiple 7-figure business, actually 8-figure business, and the entire business was on live launching. So I'm going to bring you on, because if you want to add any color here, but do you ever think that there's a reason to charge for a virtual summit?
Not really, because you really want to show value and spend time with the audience so they can really build the know, like, and trust factor with you. And the more you show up and show value, the more you just will draw clients to you authentically. I think if you charge, people will have the kind of this barrier to entry. If you have a really large audience and you have, built your audience with years of credibility and showing value and things like that, I definitely think that you can charge for master classes and things like that. Kind of like what we did. But Rebecca, you spent a lot of time building your audience and your following. But I think when you're really looking to audience build, you should not charge, because at the end of the day, like, you're going to hold people back from actually being able to spend time with you, because maybe they're just like, well, I don't really want to spend $99. And, just because someone spends like $99 on a masterclass or something doesn't mean that they're going to be someone that will actually invest in your coaching program. So you might get someone that's sometimes a little bit, maybe like a lower level buyer, because they're just like, well, let me just buy this, versus like really like taking the time to invest in coaching. So I just feel like if you're really looking to audience build and just, practice speaking in general and just get your value out there, you should definitely not charge for it.
Agreed. The other thing I think about charging is when you charge for something, there should always be a tangible result at the end. And virtual summits are usually, they're educational, but they're not necessarily like, it's speakers that are going to educate and inspire you, right? But you can't necessarily come in and be like, I know I'm going to get this exact result from attending this. So thank you, Kaylin. Okay, the one exception, and someone said this earlier, I think it was Alejandra, is occasionally there's a VIP paid upgrade where you get to keep the recordings. So that is a way that the speaker could, offset costs, and that's totally something that is possible to do, and that isn't really seen as like shady or cheesy. And the reason for that is that when you're advertising it for free. It's usually that for everyone that's opted in, it's like, listen, if you'd love to see this, past the 1 week, we're going to have it up live, like it's $47 or something. So you're only advertising that paid cost to the people that are already opting in to attend. The other thing that I've seen, and I will say this was a really cool, like something really cool that I definitely want to play around with is one of the virtual summits I did. They asked everyone to give, like to donate something of value, ideally between, they said like $100 and $500, to donate something of value that not a physical thing, So what I did is I created a mini course out of the Pitch Club Online. I did it out of the Be Clear and the social proof module. And my whole training was about social proofing. So I did this little mini course with a little workbook. And I said, okay, the value of it's like $97, which is not something I sell or have ever offered. I just took something I already had and made it, well, at least made it into this mini course. But there was maybe 16 speakers and they all did that. And so at the end of our training, the host was like, and Rebecca's, offer for the course bundle or the offer bundle is blank. So I just given value about social proofing and building credibility online. And then, you're going to get this little thing. Well, at the end, they ran through a value stack of all of the 14 speakers and what they donated. I mean, let me put it this way. I bought it. I was a speaker and I was like, ooh, I want this stuff. I can't say I've logged in to use it, but I bought it. But what they did then is I think they charged like $400 to get it. So you could get all of these speaker bundles, and all of the money went to 2 different charities. One of them was Operation Underground Railroad, which helps to basically free people that have been trafficked, human trafficking. It's an unbelievable organization, horrible topic. And then I don't remember the other one, but through those sales, they raised $18,000 for those 2 charities. So that was really cool. And so as a speaker, yes, it's some extra work to have to create that, but it does 2 things. One, it just does a real feel good, like, hey, I know that something I'm putting in is going to go to charity. It also just is really cool to be associated with that. But the third thing is anyone who purchases that bundle, let's say out of I don't know how many people registered, there was probably thousands of people that registered for that masterclass, maybe I'm trying to think, 18,000 divided by 300. So 60-ish people bought the bundle. Out of those 60, what if maybe 5 of them made sure they watched my segment and then followed me? I mean, clients could be created from that as well, right? Because they say, oh my gosh, I'm getting a taste. This is so helpful. Like, how can I work with her? So it's just something to consider. And I would highly recommend, we're going to work on this today, because there's certain things you need to be able to pitch to a virtual summit, but we're all going to work on what is our kind of call to action and then our value offered outside of our actual training. As far as when, virtual summits are happening all of the time, and I mean, they've been really popular over the last few years, especially with the pandemic. I don't think that they'll be going away. The formats might change slightly, but this idea of offering free value for list growth is amazing, right? And even masterclasses like what I offer, I mean, it is for list growth. The difference with a virtual summit is you're not just trying to go out there and get your own audience engaged or just to, go out and reach out to people. You are sharing the audience of all the other speakers. And so that's what's so impactful. One other big benefit of it is I highly recommend if you ever attend a virtual summit, reach out to the speakers that you resonate with. They connect with them, let them know like they love that. But also if you're speaking at something, connect with the other speakers, because they're people that are also growing their business. They're people that are looking for visibility, and they'll often share opportunities. Because I've connected with a few people I've done summits with, and then they hosted their own and they had me be part of it, or they got on one and they're like, hey, I'm doing this one. Are you doing it too? I'm like, I don't know about that. Can you introduce me to the host? Right. So there's a lot of opportunity for great connections with people that are committed to build their business, which is what you're all here for. All right. I know that's a lot of information. Let me just see if there's anything I missed before we get into what you need to do to pitch, because that's the first thing before we talk about hosting one is how to even be part of one, right? So first thing that you're going to need is a bio. Now you'll have a bio, but you need a 1 to 2 sentence bio. So we're going to actually do a little workshopping on shortening your bio to something that's easy to read. Nobody wants to read 3 paragraphs out loud, or you don't want to hear them as well. And the other thing that you need, again, is some type of lead magnet. Now you can use the lead magnet that you already have, but you want to make sure it's a lead magnet that is really associated with whatever you're training on. So whatever your topic is, your lead magnet or your call to action for them should be an extension of the training itself. And then the third is the training topics. What are your expert topics? And I'm going to show you, let's see if I can find, so I'm going to show you an example of one. The other side about this virtual summits is so often from doing these, you'll get other opportunities to speak within private groups. So a lot of these people that are speaking for virtual summits, if you connect with other speakers, they're typically people that have their own groups, you know, and so there's usually the opportunity if you connect with them to come in and be an expert in their group. All right, let me just look at the chat. 2 questions. The name of the organization that the nonprofit was, it's OUR, Operation Underground Railroad. And then Daisy said, I did some with IIN, was surprised at how many followed back. Yes. I mean, it's a prime audience, and people that are showing up live are the best, right? Because they're actually like investing the time and energy. We've all signed up for stuff we've never done, but people that are showing up live are really great potential clients. Okay. Let's see. I was just looking, so I am doing a training, 5 steps to create 100K a year of business just by podcast guesting. Those of you that were at the weekend at the Pitch Club, you saw a piece of that, but I need to turn this into a training. So now I've got that as a training for virtual summits. All right, back to our training. So you need a 1-sentence bio. We're going to work on this. You need a very clear call to action, clear and specific. This could be, you could use things like visit a website or listen to a podcast. Personally, for me, I only like to give something that requires an opt-in. There's 3 different ways to do this. You could have them go to a link that you literally drop in, right? Or like they go to your website, but it's a special, it's like www.rebeccacafiero.com/virtual summit or /listener gift or /special offer, whatever that is. So it shouldn't look like it's your lead magnet that's on the very first page of your website that everybody gets. It should feel special. The other thing you can do is you can do it through texting. So we'll have a future training on this about utilizing platforms like Community for texting, and this is something I commit to doing more of, is that is a great way to get both their email and their phone number. I say, listen, text template or text guide to this email or this phone number, and they can literally do it right now. You're like, okay, pick up your phone, I'm gonna text it right now, and you're gonna get, you know, my template, you're gonna get my blueprint, you're gonna get my guide. Because that way now you've got all their information. And if you think about email open rates, 20 to 40% is excellent. Texting gets a 97% open rate within like 10 minutes. But when they're text opting in, you still get their email. So you get both. But just ensuring that you have a really clear lead magnet. So bio, lead magnet, call to action, and then your training topics or your expert topics. So those are the 4 things that you need before you pitch yourself. Any questions on those? Bio, expert topics, call to action, lead magnet. All right, so we're going to work on that right now before we dive into any more information. I feel like we probably covered enough just of the why and the how and what this looks like. And then we're going to talk about best practices for pitching. And again, at the end, we're going to figure out some of the details for our own virtual summit. And then next week, when we have this second part of this call, we're going to really go through every single piece, because it is very different to be a speaker in one. I should say it's very different to host one than it is to pitch and be a speaker in one. All right, let me just look at the comments. I missed it. Let's see. You want to know which topics do you want even before asking people. So Megan, if you want to unmute yourself. So you're saying if you're hosting a summit, so are you talking about like the summit we're going to host for the Pitch Club, the Wellness Summit?
Yeah, I was just saying in general, even for future reference, like if I were to host a summit, would I kind of want to map out, oh, I want 10 expert speakers and these are sort of the topics that I'm looking for. Let me target those people and ask them if they want to be in it.
That's a great question. So most speakers will have several different things they can speak on. So for example, we've done, let me see if I can actually pull it up and I'll show you the page. Pitch Club virtual. pitchclubvirtualsummit.com. Let me see if I know we have this link somewhere. Here it is, I found it. Okay, so what I typically would say is that you're going to have a specific focus, right? So it could be like one of the ones I went to was deliver your genius. And so it was all different ways of like, how do you deliver your genius? So it could be from speaking to social media to podcasting. There should always be some type of theme though. It should just be like information for entrepreneurs. Yeah. So some are personal development focused, some are health focused, some are money focused, some are business focused. It really depends. In the past, when we've done, I'll show you the virtual summit for the inner circle, because it's a group of people. We're not picking the speakers. All of the inner circle members get to do this. What we do is we put the lineup. So this is an opt-in page, right? So this one was February 25th. And we said like, listen, there's all different types of experts. The lineup, so we put what everyone was. This is actually our very first one. This wasn't even our second one. And then we did the schedule. So we had health and wellness first, so that people that wanted to attend the health and wellness component could be on, back-to-back calls. And then we did personal development and lifestyle. And then we did business last. So that's how we did it in one day. Now this would have been really easy to do this as a 3-day also. Day 1, health and wellness. Day 2, personal development and lifestyle. Day 3, business development. But I would typically say is what you look for is, you look for, if you're hosting, you look for speakers that are ideally good speakers who have a good size audience. And then you ask them, what are your top 2 or 3 things that you regularly speak on, or that you feel like are areas you could deliver value. And then I like to grab all the speaker topics and look through and see where people fit. Because if everyone only gives me one thing, what if there are 2 people that would be amazing, but their topics, like they're both balancing hormones? And you're like, well, but one of them could be completely different. It could be like the top 10 things to detox your house. And the second could be like how to get off birth control, right? Very different topics, but they're both about hormone balancing. So I like to get a few different options. Does that answer the question? Okay, perfect.
Yes, thank you.
No worries. All right. So this is the time we're going to do some workshopping. So does everyone, and I know Emmy, while we workshop this, I am going to edit your bio right now and send it to you. I would love everyone to get out your bios. Get out your bios. Turn my heat off. We're at the part of the day where it starts to get warm in my office. I just took the jacket off. So pull out your bios, and I'm going to run through Emmy's for the group, if you don't mind, Emmy. I can't see you, so I'm assuming that's okay. All right, let me find Emmy's bio.
Yes, thank you.
Of course, my dear. Oh, you already have a short one. You're gonna make this super easy on me. Okay, so she already made a short one, so this is great. So actually, I'm gonna do 2. I'm gonna show Emmy's, and then I am going to do Stephanie Stimler's, because we just worked on hers. Okay, so let me pull up a new document. And Emmy, this is already a short bio, so I just want to make sure this is the one that you want me to do right here.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. I love the background music. I'll let you mute yourself again. She is literally on a boat. That is dedication. All right, so Emily, so this is already a shortened one. And this is you could use something a little longer. I like to say have a 1 sentence, but then you could also have a second sentence, and I'll show you this on Stephanie's. So Emily is a holistic wellness coach who helps busy female entrepreneurs get to the root cause of their symptoms by creating a tailor-made wellness program so they can find relief, hope, and clarity to thrive. Holistic. And one thing I would just say is a certified, because I know that you're certified in holistic health and integrative nutrition, is a certified holistic wellness coach. That's fine. Who helps busy female entrepreneurs get to the root cause. Okay. I help, and this is your I help statement. Okay. And it's always going to be done in 3rd person, because the host will be reading about you. You should never be introducing yourself. Right now, you can always give a little more background when you start speaking, but okay. That's really boiled down. That's really good. Let me grab Steph's, and I'm going to show you how you take your bio, and you make it into like the 1 to 2 sentences. Because even though you're going to want your full bio for pitching them, or at least like a 2-paragraph, for the actual day, it's typically like 2 sentences, maybe 3. It's very rare they're going to read the full bio. And again, it will be embarrassing if they do, because it's like a minute long and you'll just have to sit there and smile while they read it. So Stephanie's is amazing. I mean, I'll type that back to you as everyone's working. So Stephanie's got this amazing bio, right? She's got 20 years of experience. She was a senior designer at Levi's. She's designed global, and by the way, Stephanie's on here. You can see her. Hi, Steph. She's designed global menswear and women's wear collections. She's styled international runway shows. Her clothes have been seen on Prince Harry, Bear Grylls, Robert Downey Jr. I mean, this is cool, right? Like, dang. All right, but we need to condense all of this into 2 sentences. 2 sentences, right? So here's what is typically important is this, okay? This is the very first line. They don't, like what you're passionate about, while that's important, that's not as important. The other thing is, why didn't that didn't copy, is what builds credibility. And then I would say like your medium one. So we're going to get these 3 basically into 2 sentences. Stephanie Venita Stimler is a sustainable style expert with 2 decades of global design experience. So I would say 2 decades of global design experience. Ranging from designing global menswear and women's wear collections to styling international runway fashion shows. That is sexy. And then her work has been seen in. Bios are vanity. They need to be the highlight of what you've created, what you accomplished. Let me just see if there's any comments. Yes. Okay. So that is basically it. Any questions? I'm going to drop this in so you can see it just as a. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give everyone like 5 minutes to bring to distill your bio, and then I'll give you like 5 minutes and I'll edit a couple of bios on here. Sound good? So let me turn on some music. I'm going to pause. All right, so drop in your bios. I'm loving seeing these, and I'm just going to read through. And this is great. And I told you 1 to 2 sentences. If you want to make it 3 to 4, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, there can always be some version. It's just really good to have a 1 to 2 sentence one for introductions also. So we've got Erin Davis is a wellness educator who leads corporate wellness workshops. I'm going to copy and paste these. And does anybody not want feedback? Does anyone not want feedback? How about this? I'll just go through, and if you don't want feedback, either say no or shake your head. So Erin will do yours. Let me pull up our notes. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, so Erin Davis is a wellness educator who leads corporate wellness workshops that teach employees, teach how to lower stress levels with simple, accessible, and effective practices. It can be practiced daily. Okay, I'm just going to split this up for a moment. And so this is where like we just can make it a little more concise with 15 years of teaching experience. And certifications in reflexology, yoga, breath, and flexibility coaching. Erin combines her experience and skills as an educator with thoughtful parent engagement lessons. Okay. All right. I mean, technically this is totally fine. I just want to see if I can tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, please do. That's good.
Okay. And the other thing is, not that it really matters because it says the same, but anytime you're using, so you should, this is AP style. If you're saying 1 through 9, you spell it out. If it's 10 or above, you can use the numbers. Just a little journalistic trick. At least that was true 20 years ago. Who knows now what's true, but there were 15 years of teaching experience and certifications in reflexology, yoga, breath. See, I would actually say, put this here. Erin combines her, oh, no. Uh-oh, there we go. Erin combines her skills. As okay. With over and sorry, my keyboard has got a little delay, so excuse it, as a wellness leader, not as a wellness leader.
That's okay.
I made to make him laugh, but and so I mean, yes, it's of course they're going to be thoughtful, clear, and engaging. I don't think we need to say that here to deliver to okay. Erin combines her experience and skills as both an educator. Actually, her combines nearly 2 decades of experience and skills as an educator, and wellness leader. I think that's a
Yeah,
little
we can round up. It was 17, so that's good.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So Erin is a wellness educator who leads corporate wellness workshops. So here's one other thing for all of you. The website Word Hippo is incredibly helpful when you notice that you've used the same word 3 or 4 times in anything. So we've said wellness a lot of times here. Let's just see, is there any other word we can use instead of wellness so it doesn't sound so redundant? Okay, so we've got well-being, health, well-being and health. Let's just see if we can use that anywhere, well-being or health. And obviously it's corporate wellness workshops and you are a wellness educator.
I'd rather well-being over health personally.
You'd rather have well-being?
Over health, if those are the 2 options. Yeah.
Where would you see putting that?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, we've
I'm
got
just saying
well-being
if
here.
you wanted to, okay.
I mean, I guess 3 times is probably okay, but if you see it like 4 times, you definitely need to use a different word. All right, so Erin, there's yours.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Oh my goodness, we may not have time for everyone's, but all right, let's see here. Megan, oops. Give me a little bit of a hard time copying and pasting. Oh, Jennifer's, yours is super short. So Jennifer, I would just say that Jennifer is a financial expert, like call yourself your title. Jennifer is a blank who helps forward-thinking small business owners and young families gain confidence and direction in their finance. Like that is an amazing one-liner. Pat Delgavio is an interior designer. I would add Pat Delgavio is an internationally published interior designer who works with or is an award-winning, actually that's what you should do. This is easy because it's short. Pat Delgavio is an award-winning international interior designer who works with busy homeowners and business managers that appreciate the help of a professional. Her work, see something
I
like
quoted you a second part too. Sorry, I hit.
not a problem. So I think this is good. It's in an industry 20 years. So the thing, and this is a great example for everyone. So this is great because it tells people what Pat does from a client perspective. But again, this is really more about like the who you are bio versus necessarily what you can do for them. So I would say I would tweak this to, hold on, let me just put these together so I can see them. All right. Let's see. Professional award-winning interior. No. Okay, I'm just gonna go back to award-winning. Her work has been featured. Pat and her work have been. This is where we never want to be like in a gray area, but like Pat had an amazing quote in Entrepreneur magazine. So it wasn't her work, it was her quote, But Pat and her work have been featured in publications, including Architectural Digest, Lux Home and Interiors, Pat, is that what it's called? Yes, Entrepreneur, Medium Magazine, and more. And her, and the only other thing I'd say I'd probably put in here is because you have done work all over the world. So maybe we put this international back in. International is an international award winning. We can play with that a little, but I wouldn't necessarily put all of this. And her work spanning 2 decades. Over how many continents or countries have you done work in, Pat? Let's just say 2 decades in the US and Asia. England and, okay, England, US, what's Zeus? Oh, US, okay, got it. In the US and Europe. I mean, that sounds very cosmopolitan. All right, there you go. All right, let's see, Megan. All right, I'll do one more and then we'll go on to the next part. But don't worry, all of you that are pitching, we're gonna work on all your bios. Okay, where do we go, Megan? Here we go. Oh yes, Megan, lots of certifications and cool things. Let's boil it down. Okay, Megan is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, board certified holistic health practitioner, and three-time fitness competitor with a decade of experience in healthcare, ranging from being a certified nursing assistant. Okay, so this is super cool. The one thing is we want to do a little bit more about like where you're going. So I'd say a decade in healthcare, from nursing. I mean, you would probably just say a decade of healthcare. You know, her work. Okay, so we don't want to need to say her work now because it's just what you're focusing on now. Her work now is physical living. Okay, her work focuses on, or she helps women. I mean, she is committed to helping women get to the root cause of their gut, hormone and metabolic symptoms. Let's see. And has been seen in publications such as Authority Magazine, Thrive Global, 30 Magazine and Thrive Global. We're gonna get you some more press, as well as on virtual wellness summits and podcasts. There you go.
Thank
Okay,
you.
of course, my pleasure. All right, so that's the idea, right? Oops, ignore this, sorry, hold on, I didn't put in the right one. There we go. Oh, maybe I did. Okay, it looks longer in the chat, but think about this. When I read this out loud, I'm like, okay, and our next speaker, I'm so excited to bring on. Those of you that want to know more about health are going to love her. So Megan Joy Brennick is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, a board certified holistic health practitioner, and a 3-time fitness competitor with more than a decade of experience in healthcare. She is so committed to helping women get to the root cause of their gut, hormone, and metabolic symptoms. And she's been seen in publications like Authority Magazine and Thrive Global, as well as speaking on virtual wellness summits and podcasts. Today, her topic is this. Over to Megan. So does that see how, like, you can see, even though this is short, by the time that they say, and I'm so excited to introduce the next person, your 3-sentence bio, and then what your topic is, that already is like a 30 to 45 second introduction. Anything longer than that is like, you know, okay. Perfect. So now you can all work on your bios. All right. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about, so we did bios, your expert topics, and I'm going to actually break you out. We're going to do a quick breakout for this. And then we're going to come back and talk about lead magnet, CTA, and the Wellness Summit. So if everyone has your expert topics, remember the difference is your knowables are what you connect with people for. They're the things like you're a mom or a dog mom, or you're a vegan, or you love to travel, right? Your expert topics are what people hire you for. So I'll give another example. Stephanie, I just have your stuff up, so I'm going to grab it if you don't mind. So I'm going to show you this on Stephanie's, the difference in hers. Let me find it. Okay. I tend to write a lot of notes. Here we go. Found it. Okay. So here's the difference. Now, this doesn't mean you can't weave your knowables in. So her knowables are things like she's a fashion designer and she worked at Levi's for 11 years. She's plant-based and she loves Pilates, yoga, and cycling. Like, right, these are all her knowables. Her expert topics, think about these like things that you can train on, but ideally sexy them up. You don't have to do this today, but sexy them up. So like why fast fashion is destroying the planet. That is a bold, I mean, it's true, but it's like a bold statement that isn't just why you should think about purchasing more eco-friendly, right? You want to like hook them in. Clean and non-toxic living starts in your closet. That's unexpected. Or you can always do like the 3 steps you must do, or the 5 secrets, or the whatever. Like when I did the one that we were raising money for Operation Underground Railroad, I did 5 steps to build online credibility in an hour or less. Like that's a really tangible promise, and it tells how long it's going to be, right? And I was telling you about the other one that's like how to build, $100,000 a year business, just podcast guesting. So what is something that you can train on that's your area of expertise, and they will walk away knowing something, knowing how to do something, like being able to make change in their life. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes per person. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to say like, here's 3 things I can talk about. The person that you're explaining it to, I want you to say which one either they're most excited about just as they're talking about it, and then spend just a moment helping them like build that out. Again, some of you, this is going to be easy. You already have yours. And if you do, just solidify your topic and then help the other person. So let me put you into breakout rooms. Okay. And I might give it like 6 minutes just because we've got a few with 2 people. Let me just check. Well, wonderful. Room 1, there's 3 of you, but you're all in wellness. So this should be super easy. Actually, almost all of you are in wellness. All right, ladies. I'll see you back here in about 6-7 minutes. All right. So I'd love you to drop in, like either just what was that for you? Do you feel more clear? Or are you like, ah? And if you did solidify your 1 or 2 expert topics, drop it in. Drop in your expert topic. And just know that there's no such thing as perfectionism. I still am constantly updating my topics. Steph, it was fresh in your mind, right? Why fast fashion is destroying the planet. I love that one. Helping to brainstorm with someone else really helps. Demystifying meditation, 3 mistakes you might be making. Michelle, I love that because you're like hitting them with the pain point. How am I making mistakes in my meditation? Change your life, change your breath. 3 minutes is all it takes to create a health wealth bank account. Ooh, so good. Okay, amazing. So ideally you should all have 3. I mean, that's always good because especially if you're pitching, which we're going to work on, if you're pitching someone, and by the way, everyone should use the 4-in-1 pitch template. You can just pitch for the one on speaking. You'll just customize it a little bit, but you should ideally have 3 topics. But I just want you to have 1 right now that you feel really confident about. And with that, you have a really clear call to action and then lead magnet. So call to action. You've just taught them this expert topic, right? You've just gone over it. So you've just delivered all this value. You've inspired them, you've educated them, maybe you've entertained them a little bit. Where do you want them to go from there? What do you want them to do next? Typically, it would be, here's where you go get more value on it. So for Kate, if it was fragrance oils versus essential oils, why natural isn't always better? Because let's say, and you're talking to a very specific audience, right? It's like people that either want to utilize in making some type of home good or candle, those types of oils. Could it be like the candle maker's toolkit for the 10 oils you need to have, with links of where they can purchase those, which is also, by the way, a great way to build affiliate income, especially, I don't know if you're using like actual essential oils, but like if Young Living or what's the other one, doTERRA, you can always look at like, how can you build affiliate income with something you're already recommending. Okay, so Stephanie, to yours, I would probably do like, same thing, lists are really helpful. Maybe it's like 10 or 5 brands that you can enter into sustainable fashion. You can enter into sustainable fashion that won't break the bank, or something of that sort, right? So what you just taught them, what can you offer them that they could go get? So think about, one, what do you need to create? Lists are great because they don't take a lot of work. You don't need to do an ebook. You don't need to do a course. Give them a list, give them a template, give them something short and sweet. Okay. And so Megan, same thing. I mean, it could be like the non-toxic beauty could be a list of like, your 10-minute, well, you're not really just showing them how to put on makeup. I was going to say your 10-minute like clean beauty routine, but it could be my top 10 favorite products that I can't live without, clean beauty products I can't live without. Okay. I mean, yours could be 10 foods to eliminate that create inflammation. Okay, just some ideas. So I'm going to give everyone like 2 minutes. In the last 5 minutes, we're really going to talk about kind of the next steps for our wellness workshop. I want you to take 2 minutes to decide what type of call to action are you going to have. Is it going to be download? Is it going to be text? Is it going to be go to this link? If you don't have any of those, is it going to be follow my website? I personally would try not to send people to your website. You want a way to communicate with them. You could do it though, as simple as, here's my email address. If you want this thing, email me with this in the subject line. That is the way to do it without having to build out any automation. And it works, right? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I'm going to put on some music and I want you to figure out what is your call to action for them to do, and what are you going to deliver to them when they take that action. Spotify is not liking me today. We may not have music, that's okay. Yes, I mean, absolutely. You could direct them to a landing page. Personally, I like to use a bit.ly link unless you're going to like spell it out for them. Usually, if it's on Zoom, you can drop it in the chat. So one thing I personally do, and I'll show you this, is I have an index. And so I like for this, I'll keep the links that I need so I don't have to go scramble for them. So like for the collective, like I'll keep all of the links that I need for stuff nearby, so I don't get flustered when I'm speaking and it's exactly where I need it to be. But yes, you can direct them to a landing page. Okay, time's up. So I would love everyone to just drop in, what is your call to action that you're going to use? And if you have it, what is the thing that you're going to entice them with? The value that you're going to deliver. Drop it in the chat. a download top 5 meditation styles for beginners. Ooh, send me an email to receive my 5 tips on planning a home office. And Pat, you did one time that was really cool where you said, send me a photo of your space and I'll like make, I'll give you 3 suggestions to make it like more comfortable or more something. Megan, women have 4 different set bodies each month. Gut, skin connection, CTA, non-toxic. I love how you're building these out for each one. Yep, that's a smart one because you've got the affiliate for Arbonne, the cycle syncing. The only thing I say, work on the headline for number 1, but if you're going to do that for our summit, I'll help you with that. Great. There's a couple of you that still haven't put yours in, like 9 of you. Drop them in. And Daisy, I love that. I would give them just a tiny bit more information, like for the secret, like you're going to get my blank. Because one thing that even though these people are taking their time out, you want them to know that whatever you're going to give them next is like a bite size. That's why everyone used to think that you had to write ebooks. And I remember I did my first ebook and like nobody wants to read an ebook. Yeah, go to bit.ly blank to download your style routine checklist. Email me to receive 5 ways to overcome limiting beliefs and maximize success. So Kristen, that is a really good topic, but it feels big. So I would say something like, email me to receive my 5 money manifestations to kickstart off your morning to be in abundance, or something a little bit more tangible. Because like overcoming limiting beliefs and maximizing success is huge. Just give them something small that's still really impactful. Emmy, send me a link to get my PDF for 5 energy saving tips. So Emmy, the only thing about energy savings is that sounds like it could be like turning off your lights or, is it 5 tips to create more energy in 5 minutes or less, which could be like drink water, go outside and put your feet in the soil, like spend 3 minutes on a trampoline. Okay. So 5, I would always say energy creation. And then like tie it back to how much time is it going to take? And then with the wellness diary, I would say a daily wellness diary. The one thing about connecting emotions to your symptoms is not everyone understands that it's what they need. So whatever you're giving them, remember, sell people what they want, give them what they need. So make sure what you're giving them is like, they don't need to understand the solution. They just need to know the pain point in their mind. Yes, 5 tips to create more energy, but I would preface it like in X amount of time. Because if they feel like, well, I have to do all of this stuff to do it, like if it's going to take hours, people are cool. Okay. 7 healthy habits to add to your work week. How to easily map your body to practice self-reflexology. And Erin, I would even say like, it could be a map, but it could be like 5 ways that you can use your hands to lower stress without anyone knowing. Because I think about like how people are like, if you can do it when you're in a stressful meeting or in an interview, like your hands in your palms and you can hit I'm not doing the right ones because I don't know them. I need this training. Daisy, email me to create your health wealth playbook, maximum vitality in just 3 minutes or less. Yes. So Daisy, email me to receive my 3-minute health wealth playbook. Megan, 3 simple ways to lower stress in 30 seconds. I love that. Doesn't everyone want to know that right now? You're like, give me those. How can I lower stress in 30 seconds? It has to, think about it. It's like the 30-minute workout. And then it was like, 10-minute abs, 7-minute abs, 3-minute abs. Just make sure that you can actually deliver it in the time frame. So Alejandra, for you, the 3 tips is amazing, except it sounds like a really big promise. So I would say, and quizzes are okay, but they don't know what they're gonna get on the other end. So I might say like my 5 favorite productivity tools for this type of person, or my 5 favorite productivity tools that will give you this type of result. Oh my gosh, it's 1:30. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful for everyone. So just to recap, I know there was a lot of information. The 4 things that you need, I'm gonna drop this in the chat, to be pitching yourself for virtual summits: your short bio, your expert topics, at least 1 really strong one, ideally 3, a clear call to action. Now, they're not going to ask you for that call to action. They may ask you for the lead magnet. I want you to have it so you feel really certain in you showing up. There's going to be no surprises. Like, you got everything that you need when they say, yes, we'd love to have you. Okay, that's the goal. And then as far as actually getting the pitch template, if you don't already have it, you can just go to my website and it's halfway down the page. It says the 4-in-1 pitch template. You just download it if you don't already have it. And you actually think, hold on, I think I have the link to it. Like pitch template, 4-in-1. One moment and I'll grab it for everyone. Okay, here it is. I've got the link for you. Hopefully that works. Okay, but work on the speaker one. And again, it's probably got more information than you need. You can always simplify it. All right, lastly, so for all of you that are interested in learning to host a virtual summit, I mean, really it's a spot, I mean, it's an opportunity to guest in one, but seeing it from the standpoint of a host so that you can ultimately do your own, that is going to be next week. But I want to give you, I just want to ask a couple quick questions before we jump off. Anyone that is in wellness, now let's talk about what wellness is, because really almost all of you are in wellness. Like, I'm looking on here, I'm like, I mean, Kristen, what mindset is still absolutely wellness. Pat, I mean, you know, talking about ergonomics of your workspace, that's wellness. I mean, Yolandi, if you want to talk about, I mean, both of you, Stephanie and Yolandi, like, you do very different things. So Stephanie, I would say either the sustainability or like talking about how detoxing or how like clean living starts in the closet. I mean, Yolandi, you can talk about, you know, again, the more the mental side of like the confidence. So really all of you, I think, could talk about this. Perfect. This is great. So hopefully you'll all be on next week. Two things for those of you that plan on wanting to be part of this summit. Oh, there was one other thing I didn't mention. I apologize. What's in it for you as a guest. Here's one thing to know. Once you pitch and you get accepted to speak at a virtual summit, they are going to require you to promote it to your email list. So if you don't have an email list or if you don't have it organized, that is something you really want to do between now and next week. You can make it as simple as having a Google Sheet with all of your emails, but make sure that you are somehow keeping your emails together of people that have opted in. Also, for any of you that have used Calendly, I assume Acuity is the same. You can download anyone's email that has ever made an appointment with you because they have opted in to getting emails from you. And I think when I did that on Calendly added like 700 people to my email list. So definitely use that in Calendly. So email promotion, social media promotion as well. Just understand you're going to need to do both. That's going to be for every single event. Oh, awesome. That's great. You want to use Zapier. Okay. So we are going to either do a one-day summit, my personal preference, but there's no right or wrong, or we're going to do a 2 to 3 day summit. What do people prefer, one day or multi-day? Drop it in the chat. Oh my gosh. I mean, I hope I didn't influence you all, but that's fantastic. Now, one thing is that we will always have up the replay. Anybody who registers gets their replay. So just understand they always get the replay. Okay, so it looks like we'll do a one day. I am thinking that we'll probably do it either 5:10 or 5:11. 5:10 or 5:11. So technically, actually, Thursdays are the best days, but unfortunately, that is not available. And then Tuesdays and Wednesdays are just right behind it. Mondays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays are not good days to do anything. Unless you're doing a 5-day thing, then you have to do it, start on a Monday. So we'll confirm the date, but just bookmark that time. And again, you're only going to be on for, we'll figure out, 20 to 30 minutes. So, all right, ladies. So next week, for all of you that want to be part of it, we're going to really dive into the organization kind of from the back end, and you'll be crystal clear on what your role is, what you need to do. And in going through this, how you actually plan it yourself if you want to do that in the future. Real quick, drop in. What is your top takeaway from today? What are you excited about, or what are you going to be in action on? Creating a new lead magnet, further refine your topics and nobles, excited for gathering emails from Calendly, solidifying expert topics. I need to update my pitching material and excited to get more publications. Yes, Megan. Keep honing your topics to speak. Yes, Pat, that's such a great point. Hone your topics as you evolve. Revisit my expert topics and freebies in relations to summits. I mean, I'd say put in a calendar item that once a quarter, you relook at your bio, your expert topics, and your pitch templates once a quarter. Because you might have something you're pitching that you're not even excited about anymore. Work on your email list and finish your lead magnet. Okay, amazing, ladies. Thanks for sticking on. I know we went a little over. Appreciate you all. And I will see you next Monday. And you will be an expert on wellness. Well, you'll be an expert on virtual summits, and then we'll get all the details. And we will have a page built out and everything for opt-ins. Just like I showed you, you'll have your speaker information. Like, it is going to be legit. All right, have a great one. Bye.